and more. According to my MegaWest, the estimated cost of attendance is over $23,000. Tuition and fees is only $6,500 of that. Scholarships don't just help with tuition, they help with the other fees that accrue as well. By limiting who is eligible for the scholarship by deciding yourself that they don't need it, you could potentially make it more difficult for a hardworking student to attend you. One of my scholarships is given to me under the condition that I work around 10 hours a week. That's my job. Instead of receiving a weekly paycheck like I would if I worked at a department desk job or McDonald's, I'm given it all up front with scholarship. If I am disqualified from the ASISU scholarship because of my job, then are you going to go ahead and disqualify every ISU student who works part-time? Because of the 20-hour limit on campus jobs, more and more departments and organizations are going to scholarship funding rather than hourly pay or stipends. This bill hurts students in the university. This bill is also discriminatory. All through the Constitution, it says that clubs can't discriminate against members. This scholarship is discriminating based on how much money a student makes and what one committee thinks their needs are. You don't know how much I pay for housing, food, books, medical, transportation, and insurance. All of that affects a person's ability to attend school, and every single ASISU fee-paying member should be eligible for their own scholarship. Because last and most importantly, this scholarship is generated from ASISU fees. I am an ASISU fee-paying student, but I would not be eligible for the scholarship that I help fund. I've heard the excuse of passing this bill is allowing more students to be eligible and is more fair, but this is not the case. This bill makes it unfair to more students than previously. It is doing the opposite of allowing more students to be eligible. It is explicitly cutting eligibility. Bill 476 already does a great job passing by allowing more students to receive a scholarship by reducing the award amount to only 25% of the tuition. As a former senator, I know what it is like to support something initially, but then realize that it probably isn't best for a student. Please listen to your constituents. Thank you.
Mrs. Bishop, will you yield for any questions?
Yes.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, is there anybody else from the gallery that would like to approach the Senate? Please state your name and spell it for the minutes.
Tynan O'Neill, Tynano, apostrophe capital N-E-I-L.
The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me address you today. I apologize for not being able to be there in person. Thank your senators here for being able to accommodate me here. I would like to voice my opinions in opposition to Bill 475. And to illustrate my point a little better, I'd like to give you two examples. I'm going to give you two different names, Johnny Max and Jamie May, made up names of students that could attend ISU. First person is Johnny Max. He receives all housing, transportation, personal expenses, food, and books from his parents, which amounts to about $15,200. These amounts I've estimated from my own MegaWest. He now receives no scholarship money to cover tuition and fees, which would amount to about $6,600, or a quarter of his cost. With the passage of this bill, Johnny, who receives 3/4 of his funding from his parents, would still be able to apply for the ASISU scholarship. But now I give you Jamie May. Jamie May receives scholarships to cover her tuition and fees, which amount to about $6,600, or about a quarter of the cost of going to school. But no portion of her housing, transportation, food and books, personal expenses, which amount to about the other 3/4 of the cost of going to school. With the passage of this bill, she would now be ineligible to apply for the ASISU scholarship, though she still has 3/4 of her school expenses left to pay. As Rachel Bishop stated earlier, there are still other expenses that come with going to school, and to limit it to tuition and fees would be an injustice to all the fee-paying students that you guys are supposed to represent. I would like to voice my opinion that you vote no on 475, and especially to the help fund of the senator, because I am one of your constituents. I would prefer if you guys voted no on 475. Thank you.
Mr. O'Neill, will you yield to any questions?
Yes.
Are there any questions or comments for Mr. O'Neill? Seeing none, thank you for your time. Is there anyone else from the gallery that would like to approach the Senate? Seeing none, we will move to our president's report. All right. It's right on the bottom. All right, it's not on the bottom. Here we go. Good to see you all. A couple of things before we go any further into these bills I'd like to bring up. Today I met with Vice President Terrell, and a couple different issues were brought up that I'll be asking for your support and for your participation on in the future. One of those is we're working on a transformative gift process. Basically, Student Affairs is asking for proposals, specifically from us, the student leaders and students, for transformative gift ideas. And what this is not a specific dollar amount, but a one-time donation to the students. What would we spend that on? What would we spend that on to better this university and to basically make a shout out, make a statement that this place is the place to go? How would we spend that money? Like I said, there's no specifics as far as the dollar amount, so have at it. I will be sending a proposal to Vice President Terrell and Student Affairs, so if you have any ideas, any suggestions, anything at all, please bring that to me. I'd be happy to include that in my report. Another thing, I believe I mentioned at our last meeting, there's a new tradition that I've agreed to spearhead and to help rekindle with Aaron Kirkham. It's called Descend on the Dome. And this will kick off on October 11th when ISU plays Simon Fraser University here at home, or I guess at Pocatello. What this is basically an event where we rally the students on Cadet Field before the game, before Bengal Fest even. We hope that it'll be an event that can have music, entertainment, treats, game day swag to hand out, face painting, maybe get some Braveheart, orange and black face paint going. I'd be all over that. And basically to just pump everyone up. One thing that we have been working on and got the approval for is to not light off, but to fire a cannon, a blank cannon, to kick off the students marching up to the dome or descending on the dome. We did get that approval, and so I think it would be the coolest thing ever to get all the students rallied on Cadet, fire off a cannon that scares the crap out of everyone, and then all descend on the dome towards Bengal Fest and then support our football team. I think it'd be awesome. I know that I will be working to help plan and make sure that this event has everything it needs to be successful. One of those things is going to be volunteers, not only on the day of the event, but in promoting the event. Next week, you'll see a bunch of different promotional items come out. And so I just ask that you spread the word, you get the students out there, and we make this a success. One other thing I've been asked to mention is that the smoking policy feedback period is fast approaching an end. October 6th, the open forum, I guess you could call it, closes as far as the new policy on how we penalize people who violate the non-smoking policy. What our thoughts are on that. To give your feedback or give your constituents feedback for them, or if they would like to do it themselves, please email that feedback to policies@isu.edu, and be sure to mention your name and your department, so ASISU. Another thing in my meeting with Vice President Terrell that came up today was the student health insurance plan. Right now, our university, and in the admin, I think it's probably everywhere, is kind of back and forth on what to do going forward with that. It sounds like they're sending a proposal to the state board that gives a couple different options. The tendency or the lean is to get rid of SHIP eventually. A couple reasons for that. Let me just pull up right here. And this is right off the proposal that will be sent, or has been sent to the state board. Between 2013 and 2014, premiums on these student health insurance plans have increased 23%. They are now well over $5,000, so a student would have to basically pay out of pocket over $5,000 before the insurance plan even helped cover them. I don't know a lot of students that have that kind of money, maybe someone else does. There are also other available options right now that the state has to offer as far as health insurance goes, and so as a university, it would be our hopes and our intent to help students find those other options that work for them, but to wean ourselves out of the insurance business ourselves. And so that's something that will be up to the state board ultimately, but it sounds like we're trying to get rid of that. One other thing, as far as the number of students that have had or been enrolled in the SHIP or student health insurance plan, in 2010-2011 academic year, we had 4,415 students enrolled in this health insurance plan. This year we had 1,887 people enrolled, and that's after a continual decline of enrollments. And so it's something that eventually we're going to hit a wall on, where the providers of SHIP or any potential providers of SHIP won't even want to offer it, because the pool of people that will be signing up for those health insurance plans will be small enough that it won't be significant for them to do business with us. So that's the way we seem to be going as a university. However, I'm interested to know what the students' thoughts are on that. The enrollment would imply the students are kind of on the same page, but I would encourage you to bring that up with your constituents and find out what exactly their take is on that. Now, for the question we've all been waiting for. One thing I would just like to bring up first, I would like to thank the ad hoc committee and all the students and senators that worked with me to come up with these changes. Obviously, they're not ones that everyone's going to agree on, but what decisions that we make going forward will be ones that everyone agrees on. I think these are good changes, and if anything, I'm very proud of the process we went through to come up with them. We did meet, we engaged in several different discussions that took us later into the night at school than we probably wanted to be. We've also worked with Deb Green, who manages the scholarship office, who gave her blessings, if you will, on these changes. In addition to that, before I go into more specifics, I would just like to err on the side of caution going forward as leaders. I couldn't agree more that it is of the utmost importance to ask our constituents and to hear our constituents' needs. Just today on the way here, Taylor, or Vice President Tinney, excuse me, was telling me how Idaho was just named the most angry drivers in the United States, which I don't agree with, but he also informed us that it was based off a sample of 16,000 people, which out of the millions here in the United States, I don't know if that's entirely accurate. My point being, it is important to hear your constituents, but do not let the opinions of one or two people change your beliefs and change your vote on the issue, unless you have heard from as many constituents as possible. I'm not saying don't listen to the few that have reached out to you, but please just err on the side of caution when basing your vote and basing your opinion so heavily on the opinions of one or two of your constituents, because you do represent a lot more than that. As far as the letters go as well, I've received a couple letters from scholarship recipients myself, Many of them mentioned how this scholarship did help them with their tuition and fees. I didn't remember any of them saying how the scholarship helped them with other expenses. My point being, the scholarship has historically been one that goes first and foremost to tuition and fees, which is something I believe it should be going to first and foremost, if not exclusively. It's been mentioned that this is an academic or merit-based scholarship. My personal belief is, what scholarship isn't a need-based scholarship? I think all scholarships are need-based. And from the sounds of the emails, the people on both sides need the scholarship for whatever it is. I would like us, even if we don't bring this to a vote here, which I believe we should, I believe we should discuss this here in Idaho Falls. We owe it to 25% plus of our constituency here in Idaho Falls to respect the one meeting we are required to have here in a semester and take advantage of our time here to discuss serious issues, because those issues will still affect those students. Having said that, last year we did bring some issues, the same situation, just different subject. We decided to take that vote discussion to Pocatello instead of settling it here, with the anticipation of swarms of students coming to our meeting and giving us their input. 2, I believe, did come to that meeting, and those 2 are from Idaho Falls. So let's just keep in mind that it doesn't matter where we are, the participation will vary, and it's not always guaranteed, even if we're in our home city. A couple of issues I would like to address just right off the email that we all received earlier this week. These are my opinions, these are my viewpoints on this bill, take them as you will. But I'd like to address a couple of issues before the students here are demonized for the work they've tried to do. None of these changes were intended to hurt students. And the implication that that was the case is offensive, straight up offensive. If you disagree, that's one thing, but do not accuse the senators in this room and the people that have worked on this bill of trying to harm students. It's wrong. The first issue that was brought up to us is that this is not a financial need-based scholarship, as it does not take FAFSA into account. As I've said, I believe all scholarships are based on financial need to some point, and I can say that specifically with the ASISU scholarship in the past, committees have looked at what we call anticipated family contribution, or maybe it's estimated family contribution, which is derived from FAFSA. So in doing so, we've already been excluding many of the students that we're trying not to exclude with these bills. It has been based off FAFSA, and that's why we've come up with some of these changes. I do not believe first off, the percentage of students who are dependent on FAFSA, and this is all based on the accreditation report that our school will be presenting to the accreditation committee later this month. The percentage of students who are dependent on FAFSA has gone up 13% since 2011. What does that mean? That means that the number of students that don't have all those things, tuition and program fees paid for, is on the rise. And it will continue to be on the rise so long as tuition and fees continue to increase, which they have for the last 20 years. I would like to think we can stop that this year, but let's also be realistic. Second, the ASISU fee paying student would not be eligible for the scholarship they pay into was brought up. I would like to ask how many of you, just by a show of hands, are currently CPI interns? How many of you are on work study? Not all of us, but all of us pay for that via tuition. Sometimes things are subsidized by all of us so that we can provide different services to the different students we have and meet their different needs. Not every student is going to receive this scholarship, and that's never been the case. If we did do that, it'd be a pretty embarrassing scholarship to hand out. And so what we've done with these changes is tried to spread the money out as much as we can to benefit as many students as we can. One other issue that was brought up was that this bill would harm veterans and international students and hardworking students, which, as I've said before, is personally offensive to me. This legislation, as I have cleared with Todd Johnson from the Veteran Sanctuary, will not hurt veterans. It will not hurt, nor will it really affect veterans based on their government GI bills or tuition assistance. Nor will it affect international students in a negative way. If so, it'll be the ones that have everything paid for and are walking out of here debt-free, which I'm personally okay with. The ones we're trying to help are the ones that are walking out of here with debt. The changes that we've made are to address those issues and to help make sure that this goes to the international students that haven't received the scholarship in the past. That is not all I have. The fourth issue that was brought up is that scholarship, this person that wrote the email, scholarship is given to them under the conditions that they work 8 to 10 hours a week. That is their job, and if they're disqualified from the ASISU scholarship because of their job, are we going to then, based on that logic, disqualify every ISU student who works part-time? No, is the answer. I'd like us all to keep in mind the big picture, not only today, but as we go forward. The merit-based system rewards those of the highest academic excellence. GPA is included in that. Sometimes, especially with the non-traditional students we have here and the involved students we have here, such as yourselves, it's hard to maintain a 4.0, a 3.9, a 3.8 GPA. Sometimes when you do have not just an 8 to 10 hour job, but a 30 to 40 hour job off campus, a family to take care of, the cost of living to take care of, in addition to going to school full time, it's hard to keep that high GPA. And those people have not been benefiting, I can guarantee you, from the scholarship as much as I would like them to be in the past. Those are the people that we kept in mind when writing this legislation. Those are the people I hope to help with this legislation, not to hurt anyone. That is all I really have on that bill. A couple other plugs real quick for the other bills, obviously. Being one of the authors on these, I believe they're good bills. Specifically to Bill 477. As I mentioned previously, several committees have used the estimated family contribution in determining whether the student would get the scholarship. That estimated family contribution has been determined on FAFSA and has therefore disqualified many international students or students that don't qualify for FAFSA. That was one of the changes we made in this bill, and that's what that will prevent going forward if this bill is passed. Some concern has been brought up to me as far as using people's Bengal ID numbers in this process. Keep in mind the people that are looking at these applicants and the Bengal IDs are faculty and the student senate on those committees. It's a secure process. We're not posting their Bengal IDs online, and so that information will be kept safe as it has been in the past. Our hope, which we weren't able to accomplish this time, is that in the future it will be based off a number-based system where each student is identified, going down the list, numbered from 1 to whatever. In talking with Deb Green, we don't currently have the technology to do that in an effective and efficient way, but that is a direction we are wanting to go so that we can even take Bengal IDs out of the equation. That is all I have. Very brief, but I'm happy to yield to any questions that you might have for me, not only on these bills, but on anything else.
President Semple, will you also talk about the fall freakout?
Oh, yes, I apologize. UPC has asked me to bring up that the fall freakout is this Friday at 9 o'clock. It's a late night at the Union event. They do need help with this event, not only in setting up and cleaning up but also in running the event, is my understanding. They have been generous enough to provide us with their fall freakout shirts, which we brought up with us, and if not, they're back at the ASISU office. They would like to give whoever is going to commit to volunteering and helping them out today one of those shirts. So they really need the help, and they'd really like to make sure that they've got as many people helping as they need. And if anyone has anything to add on the fall freakout, aside from volunteer work, please let me know. I'll bring it up later. But can I real quick, just by a show of hands, see who would be willing to help with the fall freakout this Friday at 9 o'clock at the Sub? All right, so I count 4 right now. All right, perfect.
Just so you know, they need help starting at 8 o'clock.
They need help starting at 8 o'clock. Thank you. And so be there 8 o'clock. Come to us after this meeting. We'll hook you up with a t-shirt. If there's anyone else that finds they're free to help between now and the end of the meeting, come to us, let us know. We'll get you a t-shirt. With that, I yield to any questions.
Senator Bickar?
Thank you, and thank you, President Sun. So I just kind of had a comment on SHIP. As we kind of talked about in the meeting, we just had at lunch today, a lot of students find that SHIP is pretty not cost efficient, and it just makes their life in college a lot more expensive. And as far as the things they receive out of it, it's not as great as it could be. And so I don't think that as the data you mentioned has said that SHIP probably isn't the way forward from now on. It's not cost efficient for students, and I don't think it's cost efficient for the people providing it, as in, that doesn't reap the benefits that it should. And I am all for wanting people to have coverage for healthcare at college, because we need to stay healthy. We're around a large group of people, and I want people to have the access to healthcare to help us stay healthy. But I just don't think it's cost efficient, and I don't think it's the way forward. And I don't think we should mandate people to use something that's not cost efficient at all. It doesn't help our students at all.
One thing, if I could just comment on that, I'd like to make clear is that the admin or the committee in charge of deciding what our stance is on this going forward, their intent is not to not insure students because it costs a lot. It has been made very clear that if we do discontinue to provide SHIP, we would then put forth all the time and energy and money that we put towards SHIP in the past towards making sure students do have different health insurance options that they're aware of and that they're able to sign up for easily. And so I appreciate your comments. That has been the general consensus for most of the people I've talked to, students and not students. And it sounds like, depending on what the state board's stance is, that may be the direction we go in the future as far as not providing it anymore, or not mandating it anymore, I should say.
Senator Cleveland?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, President Sun. With the SHIP thing, coming from the pharmacy front, last semester for generics, it was $10 for your prescription a month, and then for brand name, it was like $25. This semester, it's $25 for generic and $50 for brand name. I know ISU for employees had the contract or something worked out with Blue Cross, so I don't know if the committee's looking at working with Blue Cross at all, but maybe going that direction. But from what I've seen, it is cheaper for us as a pharmacy to make students pay cash price instead of going through SHIP. So just as kind of on that side for you.
Thank you.
Senator Withers? And also, please make sure you're speaking straight in your mic so all of the people can hear.
Thank you, Vice President Tiki. I just wanted to let everyone know that I actually met with the chair of the Student Health Insurance Advisory Committee today, and she said that committee basically is no longer existing since due to factors such as the Affordable Care Act and the administrative decisions that are ongoing. And so that committee instead is shifting its focus to promotion of alternative insurance plans that students can focus on. And so I just want to state that seems like the direction that they are determined to go for what the task I've been assigned.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments for President Sun? Seeing none, thank you, President Sun.
Thank you.
We will now move on to our chair and committee reports, starting with the Finance Committee. Senator Valencia.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, I do not have anything to report today because we did not meet. Okay.
President Sun, there is a question for you from the gallery. Or a comment.
Thank you. First off, I apologize for going back to the previous discussion. But President Sun, this is based off of your previous comment about the shift. With the Affordable Care Act currently active the way it is, as well as its plan to continue on in the future, technically our students are already mandated by the government, if they're over the age of 18, to have insurance. So there wouldn't be a purpose for necessity. The universities require them to have the shift insurance. Those students that are under the age of 18 that still come to our university, they're usually covered in different ways, either through under their parents or through Medicaid programs, etc. So I think it's something that we'd have to pass to the State Board of Education, saying that we basically pull that requirement from our university. It's already being mandated by the government, so there's no reason for us, as I said, to have that in place. And I apologize if this is repetitive. It's kind of hard to read.
Thank you. That is another issue that's been brought up. That is another issue that's been brought up in the committee meetings I've sat in. One thing to maybe consider, and this is something we've talked about before in relation to the interlocking IS, which, by the way, there is a resolution from the past. We can look at the wording of that to determine the wording of this year's. But maybe this is something, as far as SHIP goes, that we write a resolution on as a student senate, as a student body. Before we write that resolution, though, it would be wise to still get feedback from our constituents. Thank you.
Yeah, this is Senator Johnson. Can I yield time to somebody in the gallery?
Yeah.
I see the time on the open. Do I need to do anything else on that?
Nope.
President Sun, I just want to talk about this shift as well. I just had a little bit more to add to what Sam said. Currently, all the universities in the state, all the college education run by the state is required by, as far as I understand, the State Board of Ed to require insurance. There's a mandate, like Sam said, to have insurance. But if you're under $15,000, if you make under $15,000 a year, which a lot of the students, especially traditional students at ISU, if you make under that amount, you're not required to have insurance at all. In my opinion, if you're not required by the federal government to have insurance at that point, I don't think that the universities and the colleges should be requiring it either. And there's really no reason at all. And in addition to writing a resolution, which I think is a great idea, I think you guys ought to also write some letters over to State Board of Ed, try and get the context over there in order to ask them to repeal that ruling. And maybe you've been in those meetings, but that just a little bit more. If you do make it 15, you're not required at all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Neill. With that, we will move back to where we were on the agenda. Rules Committee. Senator there.
Thank you, Vice President King. Bills 475, 476, and 477 are released from rules.
Thank you, Senator there. Appointments and review committee, Senator Pickock.
We have not met, but I just want to keep something in mind with senators right now. In the future, we will be reviewing the documents. And so on your times looking through the documents, if you find anything that you would like changed or we'd like to look at changing, whether it's you think something could be worded better, something's not consistent, or things like that, let me know. And if you could send that in email form, exactly what's wrong, what you would like changed, that'd be great. And we'll look at making those changes since as a part of appointments review, where to review the documents and submit any bills to change what we think is necessary. So keep that in mind. If you want to see any specific changes to keep things consistent, we can do that. I'm more than willing to do it. It's just kind of hard for us as a committee to cover every single thing every year. And sometimes we miss things. And so if you could just let us know any recommendations, that'd be great. Other than that, I have nothing to report.
Thank you, Senator Pickock. Outreach committee, Senator Riggs.
The outreach committee has
Communications committee, Senator Knapp, I believe that's you today.
Okay, so Katie asked me to go over what the communications committee has to report this week. First of all, thanks to everyone for nominating people. If you don't hear their names today, you can re-nominate them if you would like. But we just will throw those out if they're not one of the three that we say with our committee. So just go ahead and re-nominate them if you really want them to get out there. Also, we did decide off of the idea that, I can't remember who had it last week, but we decided to do faculty of the month, if everyone's okay with that. Instead of doing each week, we'll do it monthly. So go ahead and nominate faculty members as well. And that will be the same way with the Senate office ballot. And then Senator Sheldon and Senator Johnson are going to be making a video script for the video that we talked about last week. And that they're going to be meeting Thursday at 1, and anybody is more than welcome to join them if you would like to help with the script. Everyone's going to be involved in that, so that'll be great. And then I'm going to just start naming the people. I'll go through all of the athletes and the students, and then I'll tell you what people have wrote about them, and then you can vote. So for our athletes of the week, the three that we nominated, one is Jim Bagley. He's a football player. He's in charge of the offensive line. The student said that he was a model leader. He was a model leader and student athlete, and he works really hard, and the offense wouldn't be working without its line. So they recognized him. Tressa Lyman from volleyball. She's leading the Bengals with 155 kills. She's very active in her classes, always participating and leading discussions in the sports side, modeling leadership inside and outside of the classroom. Haley Ferrer, also volleyball. She's done an awesome job taking over as a new setter this year and already leads the Big Sky Conference in assists. Do you guys want me to just vote now for those or do the students too?
Vote now.
Vote now? Okay, so for the athletes, I think in the future we're going to try to do the ballots, but it looks like we don't have enough ballots today. Do you want to do ballots?
Yeah, let's do ballots.
Okay. So,
If that's okay with you.
yeah, so that's what we want to do. Sorry. Okay, so the idea was just brought to you to do it by number. So number right 1 for Jim Bagley, 2 for Tressa Lyman, and 3 for Haley Ferrer. Jim Bagley is a football player, Tressa is the one leading the Bengals in kills for volleyball, and Haley Ferrer is the new setter this year.
So our student athlete of the week will be Tim Bagley. Bagley. Okay, so now we're gonna do it for the student of the week. So our 3 students this week are Kevin Tsai. Am I saying that one right? Yeah. Okay, Kevin Tsai, he's a graduate student. Kevin received a double major in math and physics in 4 years. He was an excellent physics lab TA. He's always going out of his way to answer students' questions during his undergrad. He also speaks English and Mandarin, just fun fact. 2, Lindsay Schroeder. She's an exercise science major. She's a senior. Lindsay is an involved student, not only applying to PT school, but active in Alpha Xi Delta. Last week, she stayed up late to help a classmate finishing up their assignment in lab, and that's just one of the examples of how she helps those around her. She always has a positive attitude in classes, so she makes long labs fun for everyone. Our 3rd and final one is Katana Belknap, healthcare administration major. She's a freshman. Katana is a powerhouse of a freshman working as an ambassador her first year on campus. She is also the unofficial paper editor for Olive Turner. Everyone knows that Katana is the person to go to for homework help, and she helps happily tutors people and edit papers. So once again, write 1 for Kevin Tsai, 2 for Lindsay Schroeder, and 3 for Katana Belknap.
Could you remind me of the numbers again?
1 for Kevin Tsai, the graduate student, 2 for Lindsay Schroeder, and 3 for Katana Belknap. Our student of the week will be Kevin Tsai. That's all we have.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is service committee. Is that understood?
So we weren't able to meet today because our meeting time is during the travel time for today, so that didn't end up happening, but I actually did have something to bring to you guys. So we have a service project every year. As the resolution stated, we were working on the highway to clean it up. I was hoping to do it before it gets super cold, though it is starting to get really cold, so I think we really need to jump on this. So I'm hoping to do it October 25th. This is a Saturday. We'd be doing it early in the morning, so it wouldn't take more than a couple hours if every senator was willing to show up. And I'm hoping to add this to the checklist, but I wanted to get an idea from everyone if they would be able to go before I added it, so that way we weren't unnecessarily causing people hardship if they couldn't make it. So if there's a date that you guys think would work better, or if there's like a specific thing that is happening that day, I don't know if that's already a service project. I emailed out the time to the group that does service Saturdays. They never emailed me back, so I haven't gotten a confirmation if there's something already going on. But is there any like specific things that are going to be an issue, or let's just put out you guys who could actually be there. That way, if you can't, and not having to explain to everyone why. It is Saturday, the 25th. It would probably take an hour if all of us showed up. So who could make it, given on that time? It would be early in the morning, probably before a lot of other meetings would take on. We'd probably try and get it done by 9 a.m. So it'd be 8 to 9. So there's just two that can't make it. I will talk to you two before we make it part of the checklist to kind of see if you can figure out a way to make it work for you. But because of the issues with just wanting to get everyone there, we're going to try and make it part of the checklist. So I'll just kind of keep you guys posted on that. But preemptively, that probably will be the day thing is let the vast majority of us can show up to it. So thank you.
Thank you, service. Now to old business. First, we have Bill 475, scholarship eligibility. Senator Mendel.
In the Senate, Bill 475, taken from College of Arts and Letters, and Ontario College of Science and Engineering, and Mandel College of Graduate Studies, outside the ASISU district, sponsored by Morgan Pickard, College of Arts and Letters, Daniel Monia, College of Division of Health Sciences, Daniel Shelton, College of Arts and Letters, Sam Perry, College of Division of Health Sciences. The purpose of this bill is to specify who qualifies for the ASISU scholarship. So with that, I would like to go to questions for this.
Senator Mendel, will you read the whole bill?
The SISU bylaws, Article 7, distribution of the SISU scholarship fund. Clause 1, students whose tuition and program fees have been paid in full by either scholarships or sponsorships will not be eligible for the SISU scholarship. With that, I would like to go to questions for this bill.
Are there any questions on the bill? Senator Underwood.
I would just like to hear what, seems like we don't really talk a whole lot, so I'd like to hear what some of the other, everybody's opinion on this bill.
Senator Pickard.
I think on this bill, we need to look at kind of why the committee did what we did. We did it because, and I've talked to many constituents within Arts and Letters and some that aren't, and they kind of brought up the same ideas that we brought in making this bill, which I asked, what do you think about a bill that limits people that have both their tuition and their fees, as far as program fees, paid for by either scholarship or sponsorship in full? How do you feel about them being limited from getting the scholarship? And all the people I talked to, specifically my constituents, they were in support because they felt like if they pay a fee, they pay the ASISU fee to ASISU. And if there is a scholarship out of that, they would rather see people who do not have either scholarships or sponsorships paying for all of their tuitions or all of their program fees. They'd rather see the people who don't have that receive it. And this also, I would like to think that we're trying to make sure that we're sending the students money somewhere that we know where it's going. Currently, the way that it goes, we have some good idea that yes, people are going to spend it on academic things and things that give us food, but that is not for sure. And I would like I want to be responsible in how I allocate the students' money, because it is something that they have I'd like to meet the people. And so I would like to make sure that's done. And this bill helps with that. I know last year we worked a lot with being more accountable to the students and being accountable with their money. I think this is another step in that direction. And I think it's a good thing because more people need to be able to get it. And if someone's already received a scholarship or sponsorship that covers all of that, which isn't a lot of students, but it still makes an impact on those people that don't receive that. I think the people that don't receive all of that have the right to receive something from the SISU, because there are other ways that other people can qualify for scholarships or other types of funding that are out there. And I think the students' money needs to stay on campus. This bill will help with that.
Just a reminder to speak into the mic so the people who aren't here can hear you clearly. Senator Valencia.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What I kind of wanted to bring up was the fact that we forget that a lot of us are blessed in scholarly attributes. A lot of us have gotten the opportunity to have school paid for. And I think we forget that there are a lot of average Joes out there, and that there's nothing wrong with that. There's mom and dads that go to school that have children. There's maybe siblings that many of us have that, are trying to go back to school. And I've been blessed to have school paid for, and I don't feel like I need this scholarship because I feel like another student should have it. So I don't feel that because I work hard and because they work hard that I don't get to have it, but I also feel that people need to realize you do have things paid for, and maybe someone else does need it because they do have children and they do work 2 other jobs and they still go to school and work, do 15 credit hours. And maybe they don't have a 3.8, maybe they do just have a 3.0 or 3.2. So I think we just need to remember that we do come from a non-traditional university and that most of the people in your classes look around you, they're probably not your age. You are probably one of the youngest ones in there. And I think that's what we need to remember, that we're not a traditional university where most people are our age. So I just want you guys to think about that. And I've had a few conversations with a lot of my friends, and a lot of my friends also do get school paid for, and they don't apply to the scholarship because of that reason, because they don't need it. They feel that other students could have it. And I think just remember that we do have those people in those situations and that there's more of them than there is of us. So that's just something I wanted to bring up.
Senator Withers.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to, I guess, elaborate on why I had a difference in my change of reasoning for this bill. Reading through the logistics that some students, my constituents proposed, it almost makes sense in one regard, but I feel like my hesitation with this bill is just that there's confusion behind it. And I don't want to be passing a bill that people are confused about. Granted, I think President Sun did a very good job in elaborating what the bill contains and everything. However, I just want to make sure that that confusion doesn't extend to other students around campus as well.
Senator Smith.
So my biggest concern with this is, while listening to President Sun talking, is especially about CPI and work study, not every student is going to receive the scholarship, and I understand that. But every fee-paying student should have the opportunity to get the scholarship, just like every fee-paying student has the opportunity to get a CPI position or a work study position if they are willing to put the work in to get it. I had a faculty member when I was discussing the broader spectrum of this bill say that they don't understand why ASISU is trying to limit scholarships for students instead of going out and doing what they think we should be doing, which is finding more scholarship opportunities for our constituents. That's a faculty member's opinion on it, so take that for what it's worth. But I think that all of us should be really skeptical of the supposition that the power of social pressures necessarily implies that we have to uncritically submit to this bill right now, today, and get it done. I think independence and the capacity to rise above this social passion would help this discussion a lot. I think that maybe tabling this bill until we have more constituents who are able to speak about this to us specifically, seeing as it just came out of rule today, and it just was allowed to where we can give them the full idea of what this bill is standing for and the exact wording. I think it would be better to possibly put off the conversation until we can get more people's opinion. And while I do agree that we should be talking about this here because it is an issue that affects the students of this campus, we need to be taking more time before we hastily make this decision. Thank you.
Senator Pickup, did you still?
So, as this is my last time to speak for this, I would like to say that I would also be okay with tabling this, but with that, I would like the senators that are confused about what exactly we're trying to do, any questions that you have, come to the people that have written the bill and that are sponsoring it, the ones that were at the meetings, and we can help you clear up whatever concerns that you have. That way, when we go and talk to students, because I think we could use another week to talk to students. Whether it sways anybody's vote or not, but I think we can still talk to them and talk about what this bill is about, what exactly it says, what exactly it's doing. And if there needs to be more clarification, we're willing to do that. Just come to us and ask. And I would also urge that, when you present this bill, when you ask a question, make sure that we're trying to be as objective as possible. It's just a question. You're not looking to sway votes anyway. You're just asking a question. It's pretty much a yes or no, and you're trying to see what the reason is behind that.
Senator Cleaver.
Thank you. So I have a couple. So with if people have a fluoride scholarship, okay, so if people have a fluoride scholarship and they don't need the scholarship, the likelihood of them applying for it is very little. But if they need it for other things like housing or food or, I don't know, gas money too, because a lot of people I know are from Idaho Falls that have to travel to Pocatello to take classes there, and this scholarship would help them pay for their gas money to commute. Also, so restricting those who have a fluoride scholarship because they don't necessarily need it is not, I don't think is a very good idea. Also, Bill 477, I know we haven't talked about that yet, but it gets rid of the idea that FAFSA is used in this, so that way the need-based stuff isn't involved. So if we're getting rid of the need-based stuff for this bill, then why should we put limits on it for scholarships and full rides and things like that? Because then we're looking at it from our perspective and what we determine is need-based. Also, just something that was brought up to me by a faculty member was how to look at this bill. So say you applied to ISU and Boise State. ISU gave you full ride, Boise State gave you full ride. One school gave you a little extra money to help pay for the extra things like student insurance or student or living or whatever. What school are you going to go to? Are you going to go to ISU that gives you that little extra money? Or are you going to go to Boise State that gives you that little extra money? Just something to think about. Thank you.
Senator Withers, this is your last time.
I'd like to just go back to what Senator McKenzie, Senator Smith, and Senator Cox said, is that considering tabling this bill, I think that one thing that the entire ad hoc committee agreed pretty easily on is the fact that this bill this whole scholarship does not have to be rewritten entirely. We're trying to address the main concerns here, and I think that we do a pretty good job with the other two bills already sponsored by Bill 476 by reducing it by 50% from 50 to 25%. That's already improving people's chances of getting the scholarship since people can't receive as much money, so that extends the accessibility of it. But I just think that we need to consider that this is a good scholarship and it should be very clearly developed and everything. And I think that we have the opportunity to do that, but we don't have to rush into things. So just keep that in mind.
Vice President Hansen.
Thank you. Just as you were talking, I just thought of a couple of points. I agree with Senator Valencia that you need to, when you talk to your constituents, if you do end up tabling this bill and discussing it for another week, that you make sure that you're reaching out not only to your circle of traditional students, but also the non-traditional students. Just as I've been here this last week, kind of talking about these ideas with students in Idaho Falls, I have come across no students who are currently receiving a full ride scholarship. So just, you know, an interesting point that I don't know how many people that is actually going to affect, and I think it would be a good idea for you to kind of get a grasp on what that would really look like. The other thing that I think is important to consider is how much money we're actually talking about for an individual student. And I know we're throwing around, you know, ideas of people who have their full scholarship paid for, but they still have, you know, 3/4 of their education to pay for, or on vice versa, that they have their housing and everything else paid for, but they're still struggling with tuition or whatever. I think it would be a good idea to maybe look at some actual numbers of how much are people getting from this scholarship. What does that bottom line actually look like to them? Does it make a huge difference in whether or not they can afford school or not? I have been a recipient of the SISU scholarship, and while I am extremely grateful for that money, it did not make a big difference in my bottom line. So I just wanted to say, you might want to take a look at that, and I don't know if that will change your opinion or not, but I think it's something that you should consider. Thank you.
Senator Sheldon.
Thank you, Chair. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir.
So I'd like to bring up a couple of different points. One, I would echo Vice President Hansen's remarks regarding the impact of the scholarship. I myself have been on the anti-SU scholarship now for the past 5 semesters, and what it has done is allowed me to grow my savings. I have not needed for books or food. It has simply been a that I know that I can afford and get. And to be honest, I'm this kind of student who really shouldn't be getting it. I've looked at research. Another thing that is, that has individual costs is absolutely true. However, one thing the scholarship could do is to apply directly to it. That's one thing that we're able to monitor, the one program fee that we're able to look at and say this is exactly where money is going. However, we instead do not, and students are allowed to spend for whatever. More than likely, students will need to spend housing, food, and things that they need. However, we cannot control that. Once it is out of our hands, it gets spent on vacations, on miscellaneous activities that are not necessarily school friendly, or anything such. If we were keep referring to simply tuition, then we can go to our constituents and say exactly what it's for. I myself talked to a number of constituents. A handful were already on full scholarship, and they looked at this bill and said, you know, I am saddened that I could not apply, but I understand. And I realize that it should go to students who cannot afford school. And I talked to a number of students who are not even close to a full tuition scholarship, and were incredibly excited at the prospect of it, of even getting a small scholarship. And those are all the facts that I have to say. Thank you.
Senator Mendel.
I think as one of the international students who has gotten an undergrad at ISU and currently doing a graduate at ISU, I think I can speak on both sides. As an undergrad, I never received a full ride scholarship because we're not allowed to. We can't. And I am a recipient of some of the SISU scholarship a couple semesters, and I'm really grateful for that. But right now, even though I have a graduate assistantship, and that's technically a full ride scholarship, and I have a wife too to take care of, and she's not allowed to work on campus or off campus because of immigration regulations. Even though I'm sponsoring and authoring this bill, where I feel that I need extra money to pay for my other bills, I still feel that I do not need this scholarship because I have my tuitions paid off. So I think this is a really great move to expand our institutions and let them take care of receive this scholarship. So I think this is a really good forward, really good bill to move ahead with.
Senator Thayer.
Thank you, Vice President Tingey. So first of all, I just wanted to bring up the fact that this bill, or these issues have been things that have been brought up in the past, and they're issues that have been brought up before. So this is not hasty by any manner. There just has never been a bill written to change it. These are things that have been talked about and have been discussed. So for years, it's just never been changed. So this is not something that is just been thrown together and something that all of a sudden we're just deciding to do. To echo something that Senator Valencia said, personally, if people who have school paid for are blessed, many of us are blessed, and personally, I want that money to go to those people who aren't so as fortunate as some of us. And to write that change check, like Senator Shelton said, to somebody just to pad their savings account or their checking account to spend on their vacation or whatever they choose, I don't feel is correct. And yes, I know that most people, that's not what it's going for. It's going for things that will benefit the university, or excuse me, not benefit the university, but go towards school. For example, maybe gas or buy a new vehicle that they need to get to school. But I want to see my fees go back to the university. And I want it to benefit the university. And that's not something that will be seen by writing a change check. And also the point was brought up that somebody might choose ISU over another school because they're receiving the ISU scholarship. I believe that is not true based on the fact that freshmen and transfers aren't even eligible for the scholarship. So I don't believe that argument is valid anyway. And like Vice President Hansen said, that the ASISU scholarship isn't a huge chunk of change that is going to sway people one way or the other anyways. So I just wanted to bring that up as well. And as an author of this bill, obviously I am in support of it. And I think that all of you, we may need to table it and discuss it more and talk to more constituents and talk to maybe constituents that you haven't talked to in the past. Maybe get outside of your circle, talk to more of those non-traditional students. So I encourage you to do that more. Thank you.
Senator Cameron.
I just kind of wanted to address the whole money thing, give you some numbers and kind of mull over. It depends on what college you are, on how much you're able to allot, because it varies every year, and it varies depending on the allotment that you decide to give. A lot of times they'll do a graduating system. The people that are towards the top receive more than people that are more towards the bottom of the list that they're looking at. And so from what has been given in the past, I can tell you it ranges from between $250, so $200 or $250 to $1,000. Now that $1,000 was mainly in pharmacy and stuff like that, so it's a smaller college. It receives less applicants, but also their fees are a little bit higher. So kind of take that into consideration. Most of the time, this is something that is helpful. It is something that is not going to necessarily say between the person saying, yes, I'm going to school, or yes, I'm not. It is something that is helpful. This is a helpful thing that the students do, that the student government helps with for the students. It's more of a help than whether someone attends school or not.
Senator Hampton.
Okay, so.
Okay, oh, that works. All right, so this is my feelings. I've talked to a lot of constituents about this. The concerns that I've heard have been in line with the emails we've read, that kind of thought process. I personally am working 5 jobs. I don't get FAFSA money because I'm still labeled as an independent, and the government thinks that my parents are paying, but they don't. So all of my scholarships and jobs go directly towards my tuition. The problem I have with this bill is the fact that students who are working hard to work lots of jobs and working hard to be eligible for scholarships, if they're getting those scholarships that they've deserved and worked hard for, they're being punished for it and not eligible for scholarships anymore. I understand the thought process behind this bill. I think it's a really good thought process. We want to spread the money, we want to help those who really need it. But honestly, it's not our opinion to decide, oh, you don't need this scholarship because you worked really hard to get the other ones, and so you don't need any more money. I really like the idea behind spreading the money. I really think this bill has good intentions, but I think it fundamentally has problems. This is merit-based. I don't think we should be looking at, oh, I think this person needs money and this one doesn't. The scholarship's based off of merit. If someone worked hard enough to get this scholarship, they should get it. Also, between fortunate and hard work, it was mentioned that students are fortunate to have their tuition paid for. Students, unless they're sponsored, most of the time scholarships, you have to work really hard for it. I can't get a lot of financial need-based scholarships because my financial need is enough, I guess. So all of my scholarships have to be merit-based. I have to work really hard to earn all of my scholarships. I have to keep them up to get those scholarships. I also am an ambassador, and we're all senators, we're getting paid. Between my ambassador job and the Senate job, I am now over my full scholarship. I am technically, all my fees are paid for, but those are jobs I have to work for. I personally wouldn't apply for this ASISU scholarship because I want more people to get it, but I feel like if I really needed it, I should be able to. I want people to get it that deserve it, but I don't think that it's our decision to decide someone deserves it over another because we think you get enough money. We have no idea to know what that person's going through. And another big thing, the whole idea of these bills, we're trying to expand the pool so everyone's eligible, getting more people eligible for this scholarship. But with this bill, we're actually cutting it. We're cutting the number of people who are eligible, and I don't like that idea either. So that's just personally how I feel. And if you want another example, I have 5 jobs. I have my fees technically paid for, but it's because I'm working really hard. I always take more than 16 credits. I've never been under 16 credits. I've had to work really hard for all of my scholarships. And I think that someone like that should be able to get another scholarship if they work that hard.
Senators, this is your second comment.
I just think when we're discussing this, we need to be really careful to throw around terms like school is paid for and that they're getting a full ride, because our constituents might not think that tuition and fees is paid for is considered a full ride. A lot of students, especially when I was talking to them, couldn't believe that a full ride is considered only that because they have scholarships that cover that much and are still taking out the full FAFSA amount that they can get and having the full amount of student loans that they can get because they have that much over it. So throwing out things like because they have full ride scholarship or school paid for just because of their tuition and fees, I don't think that is something that we should be saying as a Senate. And also, I don't think we should be like degrading this to where it's not a huge chunk of change. Even if it's a $500 scholarship, $500 goes a long way in books, goes a long way in paying towards goes a long way towards paying for food. It goes a long way towards paying for a room that you can live in. So I think that this scholarship really does help people a lot more than I think we're giving it credit for, and that when we're talking about it, we should really realize that even though it might not be $3,000, $5,000, that amount of money to somebody could be the difference between being able to pay for their books this semester or not. And I feel like anyone who works hard enough to apply for this should get that opportunity to be able to pay for that. And I don't care if there's people out there that are using it badly. That's not our place to say that, well, because one person or 2 people are padding their banking accounts with it means that we should degrade the other people that are using it for good reasons. I think that this bill is even though it may not be hastily brought up, it is being debated and needs to be looked at further. So I'm going to strongly suggest that we table this bill until later, because I feel like with all of the opinions presented today, it seems like it needs more discussion with more people. Thank you.
So everyone knows we have 5 minutes left on this topic. Senator Johnson.
Thank everyone for all of these bills. I know it's been hard work, and I really value all that, and everyone's time is definitely nice working on these. One thing that was brought up is the fact that people thank us in the past for making these scholarships help them pay their tuition. But I don't think the average student is necessarily deferring their fees. The fees get posted to their account, whether it's their tuition, their program fees, their housing, their board. I think most students actually consider it their tuition, and I know that from talking to a lot of students within recruitment in the last 2 years. I also spoke to a financial advisor to understand specifically how the scholarships are applied to our account. And it's not like the buckets of money are perfect anyways. It's applied to your whole account when you get scholarship. So let's say we have a student doesn't have everything, but that doesn't have the amount of full tuition paid for, and they get our scholarship a couple $100. A couple $100 could actually be covering housing within their account if they live on campus. It doesn't necessarily go to tuition anyways. It's kind of like money, just money. And so for the people pocketing money that that's the tuition could be paid to anything anyways. This doesn't really mean what the money is physically paying. It just means getting that money. If it's 300 plus, their job goes to their supplies and medicine. And by passing we're making the students who are involved on campus specifically will not be eligible for money that they deserve to have. And two more senators would like to talk if I could just pass it on. Senator Sheldon.
Senator Sheldon, this is your second and final comment.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Senate. I would just like to make a quick, in case anyone wants to extend time afterwards, but I would like to remind everyone that the main driving force behind the ad hoc committee was Bree, who's in charge of the scholarship committee. She has been in charge of scholarships, dealt with scholarships, has been involved with that decision-making process for much longer than most of us have been students. This is not a decision that we took lightly, being the ad hoc committee, a decision that we had originally planned on going with. This is a decision that Deb Green felt very passionate about, that we had in turn agreed upon. This is something that she has seen throughout the days, or throughout her years here as an issue, and felt it important enough to bring to the Senate. On one final, I would like to just say that just because a student has a job on campus does not mean that they're immediately disqualified from this scholarship. All students would have had their entire tuition covered, which is a select few, and then there are still a large amount of student job opportunities that are paid via hourly. Thank you. And Senator Perry would also like to speak.
Senator Perry.
All right, really quick, I'm going to do both of my turns consecutively. So first, I'd like to spend time for all bills discussion by 15 minutes.
A motion must be made.
I move to extend the time for all bill discussion by 15 minutes.
Second.
Senator Perry moved to add 15 minutes to the time for the bills, all three bills? For just to this bill, that's all he can do. Seconded by Senator Valencia. Unanimous was called. Motion passes.
Okay, then do I second one or do I have to wait?
Still your turn.
Okay, well, I was just going to say, whether or not each senator is personally on whether this bill should pass or not, you got to remember that we're just the extension of the voice of the students. And I think the overwhelming majority of ISU students are saying that they either are not for it or might just not fully understand what the bill is saying. And I think that might be true for some of the fellow senators in the room as well. And so I think this bill would be best served for both the students currently and in the future if it were discussed a little bit further I know that if the bill does not pass tonight, that it won't be able to affect students next semester. But I think it's more important for us to think about the future and all the students that are up there instead of just trying to squeeze something in quickly now and not have it fully affect the students like we want to. So with that, I would make a motion for that bill 475.
Senator Perry moves to table. Table bill 475. 75. Oh, what did he say? What did you say, Senator Perry?
To kill the bill.
Senator Perry moves to not approve, repeat that. Bill 475. Objection, discussion was called. Senator Perry. Wait, there actually was no second? Seconded by Senator Cleveland. Objection, discussion. Senator Perry.
Yeah, I'm taking, sorry, hold on. I get 1 minute, right?
2 minutes.
Okay. Give me like 30 seconds to think.
Clock's ticking.
Okay, I apologize to say that. So now I understand what I'm saying. So I'm defending my position now. I think just the bill, the way it's currently worded with most students, it's either through miscommunication, errors, or just how we're presenting it. The students, as well as some of the senators, don't fully understand what it's actually doing in the long run and what fees are being assigned to which area in the bill. Yeah.
Senator Thayer? No objection.
So one thing that is, I feel like has been said a lot is how it personally affects you. And I just want to remind everybody of the thousands of students that we represent, and I realize that it is that you have an opinion, your personal opinion on it, but we just need to remember the thousands and thousands of students that we represent and how it will affect them, and maybe just be more concerned about that than your personal opinion and how it will affect you. But with that, I would like to move the table bill 475 until next Wednesday's meeting.
We're already in a motion. So can't make a motion within a motion.
Can I amend the motion?
You can recommend an motion, an amendment to Senator Perry.
So then I recommend that Bill 475 be tabled until next week. And I would like to encourage everybody to talk to all their constituents heavily this next week. It is not a lot of time to hear everyone's opinion, but just to get as much feedback as possible.
That was your second comment, by the way. Senator Cleveland, also your second comment.
Thank you. So I support Senator Perry in rejecting this bill. You guys have heard why. I don't think necessarily tabling this is really going to make it any better. Like, I know I originally said, why don't we move it to next week? But I feel like all of us have really heard at least most of the sides of the story for this bill. And I don't think that extending it a week is really going to change anybody's opinions per se. I mean, it might, but I don't know if it really would. I mean, we can still talk to our constituents and stuff, but I personally, or I honestly don't think it's going to change whether we vote on it now or vote on it next week.
Senator Valencia, this is your second comment.
Mr. Chair. I might be wrong for saying this, but I'm to the point where I don't care. And I think a lot of us are looking this selfishly and personally, and I'm confused if people are making these comments on behalf of yourself or on behalf of the thousands of students you guys represent. So I'm just really confused on that fact of the matter, just FYI, is it personal? Because I can tell you my story that I support my mom and dad, have 2 other jobs, and I'm still not selfish enough to take this scholarship. So please, tell me if you guys are doing this on behalf of yourselves, or if you're doing it on behalf of the thousands of students that you each represent. Because remember, we are this small portion of students that are blessed. Remember that. Not every student is like us. Not every student gets the opportunity that we get. Not every student can have the opportunity to become involved and get the opportunity that we get. Remember that. We are not the average Joes of ISU. We need to represent those students. And I'm gonna fight for those average Joes because they exist. And thankfully, my parents had money saved up, so when my dad did get sick, I wasn't screwed. But thanks to them was because that happened. I work hard. I could deserve this scholarship, and I do need it, but I selfishly don't. So remember, are you guys doing this for yourselves or for the students?
Senator Sahine.
I think I've been listening to this discussion for quite a while now, and I think I have to add my voice to it. I think I support the motion that as a Senate, I think we are not in a position to determine who needs the money or who doesn't need the money. I think for the fact that somebody has a full right scholarship doesn't mean he doesn't need the money or he needs the money. If you think that you do not selfishly want to go ahead and apply for, the scholarship, I think it is in your own right, but we don't have to determine or we don't have to decide for somebody because you think the person doesn't need it. And secondly, I think to kill the bill or to reject the bill instantly is not going to help us as a house. I think we will have to, I think personally that we need to do more discussion and more deliberations with our constituents. We can come back next week for maybe another discussion or another deliberation. We might have we might have a full discussion on that. Thank you.
Senator Cameron.
I can't reach it, but I'm going to say I'd like to give my time to Senator President Sun.
Your time has been requested, President Sun.
First off, thank you for the conversation, guys. I think this is awesome, and thank you for keeping it civil. The way I see it, this is going to go one of 3 ways. The way I would hope it would not go is a rejection. I hope this bill does not die today. I would be more than happy to table it a week, and in that week, I can work with Finance and Administration as well as the Scholarship Office to collect information from the past couple semesters as far as what students have been benefiting from this. Are those students ones that have already had everything paid for? And that can go beyond tuition and fees, since that seems to be the issue. The one thing, though, I keep hearing is let's postpone this and hear from our constituents. My question I want to hear specifics on is how are you going to do that, especially if we table it a week? Because I think the sooner we deal with this, the better. I think the later, the less likely anything's to happen. But that's the question I think needs to be asked, is specifically how are you going to make sure that we get an accurate sample and accurate feedback from each of our constituents, not just the 5 people that have come to us to talk about this. And with that, thank you.
Senator Sheldon called previous. So now we'll call roll call. To yes. Yes will kill it, no will not kill it. Correct? No doesn't pass it, no just doesn't kill it. And it doesn't table it either, it just doesn't kill it.
Still here. Senator Beckstead? Yes. Senator Bugelman?
Senator Bugelman? Right. Right.
Senator Cleveland?
Just really quick, I just want to say that I am not blessed. I have to pay for everything. My parents don't pay for anything for me, so even if I do have stuff paid for, I don't. And for people to assume that I am blessed because I'm sitting here, yes, I was lucky to get elected, but that doesn't mean that I have anything paid for. And also, I have emailed a lot of my constituents, and I did talk to the senators at the College of Pharmacy, in the College of Pharmacy, and to my dean this week. And so with that, I vote yes.
Senator Johnson? Senator Kemmerer?
No.
Senator Canal?
No.
Senator Knapp?
I just want to point out that I'm under no illusion that I'm the only one that works hard. I didn't mean that at all. I don't think that at all. I just was trying to give an example of a way that it could play out. So with that, I vote yes.
Senator Bethal?
No.
Senator McConnell? No. Senator Moniak? No. Senator Perry? Senator Pitcock?
I think we could use more time to consider this, so no.
Senator Ricks?
No.
Senator Swahini?
As I said initially, we need further deliberations, and because of that, I don't know.
Senator Sheldon?
I just want to remind everyone that despite the fact that I think we all like to talk about this more, there's been a lot of us I've talked to a lot of my constituents, and so there's been a lot of people that have been in support of it. I ask you guys to not think about the few that have been very negative, because a lot of times those that are supposed to be a lot louder than those that are for, because those that are for will just assume that it will pass. And with that, I vote no.
Senator Smith?
Pass.
Senator Thayer?
Guess I'm just confused why people who are voting yes are so quick to kill this bill, especially those who talked previously about tabling it, and now you're voting yes to kill it. Just confused on that, and with that I vote no.
Senator Underwood?
No.
Senator Valencia? Senator Withers?
I strongly agree with what Senator Valencia said, the fact that we here are blessed because we do have leadership qualities and the things work out for us. However, I know that some of my constituents did not agree with this bill, but I am by no means going to say to kill the bill because I think that this bill has a lot of potential, so I can vote no.
Senator Smith?
I think a lot has been said tonight that is really productive. I just strongly urge people to not put claimers on certain people. Don't make assumptions, and that's just for all Senate. But I don't think that this would be that rejecting this bill would be any less hasty than passing it tonight, and therefore I have to say no.
Senator Valencia? No.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Seeing none, the motion fails. We have 2 minutes left on this topic. Senator Valencia, you have no more. Senator McConnell.
Thank you. First of all,
I would just like to point out my stance on tabling. I would prefer to not table just because I feel like we've already had a week to take this to our constituents, and I have talked to as many people in my college as I could. And I know a lot of you guys have too, and if you just want to add another week to talk to them, the question in my mind is, why has it not been done already? But if you think that that would be really beneficial, if it would really make a difference, that's perfect. I would agree to table if you think that it would benefit us. A second thing that I'd like to bring up, if it does get tabled, is I just want to read this part that says, students whose tuition and program fees have been paid in full will not be eligible. So just remember that it says and, not or, because in a lot of the stories that I've heard thus far, it's been, my tuition's been paid, so I'm not qualified for the scholarship, but I still have fees to pay. That's not true. You're still eligible to apply for this scholarship. So just remember that, even if it doesn't get tabled. If it does, remember to bring that to your constituents, and if it doesn't get tabled, remember that in your vote. One last thing, not a lot of things fire me up, but people are saying that they're not blessed. Like, someone said that just because they're here doesn't mean that they're blessed. You are blessed because you are here. So just use a different word, please, like privileged or something. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Senator Moniak?
I would like to yield my time to Senator Withers.
Senator Withers.
Just to address what Senator McConnell said, I think that a lot of the themes that we've heard tonight are ones that we were approached with. And yes, a lot of us have gone out and talked to other constituents as well. But I'd like to just have that further amount of time as you talk to more constituents that might not have this knowledge. It's hard to contact everyone, as well as hearing what President Sun has to say in regards to talking with the financial aid and administrative system. So.
Senator Underwood.
I would like to move to table Bill 475.
Senator Underwood moves to table Bill 475, seconded by Senator Valencia. Unanimous was called. Motion passes. Next on our agenda, we have Bill 476. Senator Pickup.
Are we still good on time for this?
Right. Senator Valencia. Granted. Senator McConnell.
In the Senate, Bill 476 by Courtney McConnell, College of Arts and Letters, Adam Thayer, College of Science and Engineering, and Neil Mental, College of Graduate Studies, Kyle Sun, ASISU President, sponsored by Morgan Pitcock, College of Arts and Letters, Danielle Moniak, College of Division of Health Sciences, Daniel Sheldon, College of Arts and Letters, Sam Perry, College of Division of Health Sciences. The purpose of this bill is to lower the percentage of full-time resident fees covered by the ASISU scholarship. ASISU Bylaws, Article 7, Distribution of ASISU Scholarship Fund. Clause 2, the distribution of funds shall be based on figures for enrollment taken at 10-day enrollment figures as supplied by the registrar. ASISU academic sophomore, upperclassmen, and graduate scholarship funds shall be distributed to each college in amounts proportional to the number of students within each college. This will result in each college having an amount of money to distribute, not a number of scholarships. Scholarships will be awarded an amount not to exceed, cross out 50%, change it to 25% of full-time resident fees. Each college committee shall provide recommendations for distribution to the student senate in the amounts proportional to the number of full-time fee-paying students in each academic class, i.e. sophomore, junior, and senior, and shall be distributed on the following basis: 80% emphasis on GPA and 20% emphasis on credit accumulation, with a maximum of 128 allowed. I move to approve Bill 476.
Second. Senator McConnell moves to approve Bill 476, seconded by Senator Pitcock. Roll call must be had. Secretary Stevens.
Senator Beckstead? Yes. Senator Buchelman? Senator Cleveland?
I think this bill is a really good idea. I really like how we're trying to spread it to more people by cutting it, because, I mean, I don't know of anybody who actually gets half of the tuition paid for by this scholarship. So this is just a really good idea, and when did I say this?
Senator Johnson?
I think this is an absolutely excellent way of spreading out, and we do have to make sure that those students can get funding from some of them by the gifts.
Senator Kemmerer?
I vote yes.
Senator Knopf?
Yes.
Senator Knapp? Yes. Senator Mendel?
Yes.
Senator McConnell? Yes. Senator Lumia? Yes. Senator Perry? Senator Pitcock?
Yes.
Senator Ricks?
Yes.
Senator Sidney?
Yes.
Senator Sheldon? Senator Smith? Yes. Senator Thayer?
Yes.
Senator Underwood?
Yes.
Senator Withers?
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Seeing none, the motion carries. Next on the agenda is Bill 477, Scholarship Committee Procedures. Senator David.
In the Senate, Bill 477 by Courtney McConnell, College of Arts and Letters, Adam Thayer, College of Science and Engineering, Anil Mandal, College of Graduate Studies, Kyle Sun, ASISU President, sponsored by Morgan Pitcock, College of Arts and Letters, Daniel Muniak, Division of Health Sciences, Katie Johnson, College of Education, Daniel Shillman, College of Arts and Letters, Sam Perry, Division of Health Sciences, Jordan Withers, Division of Health Sciences. The purpose of this bill is to give specific procedures for the ASISU Scholarship Committee during the scholarship selection process. ASISU Bylaws, Article 7, Distribution of ASISU Scholarship Fund, Clause 3. A, during the ASISU Scholarship Committee meetings, each committee will identify student applicants exclusively by their Bengal ID number. B, the free application for federal student aid, FAFSA, may not be taken into consideration during the application or committee selection process. Clause 3 will change to Clause 4, Clause 4 will be changed to Clause 5, Clause 5 will be changed to Clause 6, Clause 6 will be changed to Clause 7, Clause 7 will be changed to Clause 8, Clause 8 will be changed to Clause 9, Clause 9 will be changed to Clause 10, and Clause 10 will be changed to Clause 11. I believe I'll need to amend this. Okay. This time I'll yield any questions regarding Bill 477.
Are there any questions for Senator Thayer? Senator McConnell.
Thank you. I move to pass Bill 477.
Senator McConnell moves to pass Bill 477.
Second.
Seconded by Senator Underwood.
Roll call.
Roll call will be called. Secretary Sears, please call roll.
Senator Wexler?
Yes.
Senator Buchelman? Senator Cleveland? Yes. Senator Johnson? Yes. Senator Kemmerer?
Yes.
Senator Knopf?
Yes.
Senator Knapp? Yes. Senator Mandel?
Yes.
Senator McConnell?
Yes.
Senator Moniak? Yes. Senator Perry? Senator Pitcock?
Yes.
Senator Ricks?
Yes.
Senator
Yes.
Senator Sheldon?
Yes.
Senator Smith?
Abstain.
Senator Thayer?
Yes.
Senator Underwood?
I vote yes.
Senator Withers?
Yes.
And then Senator abstain.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Seeing none, the motion carries. Moving on to Senator Thayer.
I'd like to recognize Senator Valencia.
Recognized. No new business. Is there anybody from the gallery that would like to approach the Senate? Close board. President Sun.
I promise I do not like to just hear myself talk. Thank you, Vice President Tingy, and thank you, Senator. I would like to extend the question out to multiple people, but specifically Senator Withers and Senator Johnson, if they're willing to yield to questions.
Yes.
So I will start with Senator Withers. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Senator Withers. My first question is, what methods of actively asking and asking for feedback on Bill 475 did you use in the past week?
Well, I received those emails, as we all received as well. But also I addressed it with students that were from my classes, so some of them weren't directly from my college. But I explained the purposes behind the bill and everything, and it just seemed like the general consensus which people presented was that there was confusion behind the bill, and I'm limited into, I guess, the level of understanding I can help them achieve, because I can only explain it so many times in different ways. But it just seemed like the general consensus was like, if I have a job or something, that this would inhibit me. So I think that the people I probably addressed were more active around campus. That's part of the reason why I asked to table the bill, because I don't want to make a decision in regards to making this bill fail if I'm talking to only the select few that are like, I'm going to be affected because I have a job that's based on scholarships, or something along the lines of that.
For a follow-up, please. Thank you, Vice President Teen. Thank you, Senator Withers. And so my next question is, there's been two issues brought up. One, that we have not received enough feedback from constituents across the board. And the second issue that's been brought up is that there is confusion on the bill in front of us and the issue at large. My question is, how specifically in the week that we have do we address these two issues in an efficient way that makes sure that come time to vote on the bill next week, we are ready to vote based on having received the appropriate feedback and made sure everything's clear? How do we address those specifically?
This is a question directed at me as well, right?
Specifically to you, I'd open it to anyone, but you were one of the sponsors that took your name off, so.
I honestly I think I have to thank you, because I think that you clarified points that I guess I hadn't fully made the comprehension that they would affect in one regard or another. So I appreciate you going out and finding that information for me, because now I can solidify and confidently tell people this information. In addition, I think that just from the discussion here, that every senator better understands the purposes of this bill, rather than just saying, this is what the bill states, and I'm pretty sure this is what the bill will do. We know what the bill will do now. And so I think this discussion was very beneficial, and I highly hope that every senator will go out there and the people you talk to, readdress it with them and be more confident in your answer, because I know I have to do a follow-up. I did poorly at addressing the administrative matters of this bill and everything. And I think that if I readdress it with my constituents that already expressed their concerns, that maybe they'll be more supportive of this bill. But as of right now, since my constituents were hesitant in supporting this bill, I was as well.
Thank you, Senator Withers. Vice President Tingy, I couldn't agree more that now we are all probably a little better educated on the entire subject matter, and for anyone specifically, I'm looking for battle plan. How do we specifically address those two issues? I don't think just talking to classes is sufficient enough. I think we need to come up with a way to make clear the specifics of the entire situation. My question is, how do we address that issue, and how do we get solid figures as far as what our constituents think so that we can make an appropriate vote?
Senator.
So one of the things that I did, and what made it difficult, is it just came out of rules today. Before we even started talking about the bill today, we were informed that we shouldn't be talking to students on the exact wording. So therefore, this entire week that we have been talking to students, whether we've been talking to them about the broad idea, we were unable to tell them the exact wording of this bill. Therefore, giving them broad strokes of what was going to be happening didn't really help the situation, and I think that's one of the reasons I decided to table the bill. But what I did do is I sent emails to different professors in different fields of my college, different department heads, and told them to please give this to the professors underneath them and let them, and if they would be willing to discuss it in class, and have all of their students have my email address in case they wanted to contact me. And within that, I got 75 constituents who emailed me back about this. So I think that there is a way to get this done. I think it's a very effective way. I just think that it was not effective enough because the students were only getting broad strokes of the bill. So I think that worrying about not being able to do this effectively only happens if people aren't willing to put in the time and the effort to do it. And I think each and every one of these senators is willing to do that.
Senator Smith, you'll do a question.
Definitely.
Thank you, Vice President Cheney. Senator Smith. So would you say that emailing the specifics on this bill would be sufficient as far as making clear? Because sometimes reading it for a student that doesn't know a lot about how the scholarships work, an email may not be enough. So I'm just trying to find a way here, because I want to make sure that whatever the vote is next week, it's backed up by a lot of facts. And so I'm looking for an answer there.
Senator Smith.
Okay. I think one, being able to have the actual wording would help. I think also the fact that this is now going to be a recorded thing, that they can watch the debate, see what their senators believed. I think letting them know that they can watch this and learn more about what the senator stated, what was stated by you, would help a lot. The entire point of videotaping these entire discussions is so that people can be informed. If they're really interested in this topic, telling the teachers, telling the heads of different departments that they can listen to the debate, and then because of that, have a more educated email that they can be sending to their constituents, or even talking to the constituents in classes. I know that in my political classes, because I'm a poli-sci major, we will be watching this because a lot of the teachers found it very interesting, and I will be sending out the same information to all of the people that I email again, letting them know that they can watch the argument, watch the debate, get more informed, and then send me information about that. And I think that is the most we can do to try and get an informed constituency to be informing us of what they believe. I think the people that are really going to fight for this and really going to care would be willing to do that.
Thank you.
Just to clarify, this will be on YouTube, so we're going to immediately following this meeting, so tune in. Senator Johnson.
Thank you. So thank you, Vice President Cheney. Is this going?
Yes.
President Sun, I was going to say, thank you for your work on these. And I do feel like making students would at least be a good start, better than them not knowing. Everyone that I have spoken to hasn't heard of them. And I think, maybe some of the reaction could be because they don't understand all of the stipulations of this vote. And maybe we can attach some kind of that outline the scholarships so they can see how it is currently. Of course, we can say it is going to be up to people in their own time how much they want to spend researching it and looking into it. But I know that I personally have teachers that are more than happy to. I had a teacher this morning that was more than happy to have a discussion in class. And I feel like if each of the senators could do that and let people, once the student body has at least heard that this issue is going to be addressed again, talk about it in classes when they understand it a little better, where they've heard a little bit more, we can get better feedback that way.
Thank you.
Senator Lee.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, President Sun. I just wanted to let you know that the pharmacy students that I represent have a separate mailing list, like they have separate emails that they look at. None of them look at their ISU email. I mean, Zara probably does, but she's also has to do other things. But most of them don't look at that. So I was wondering if I have your permission to forward those to their mailing address, like anything that you send out. And I was wondering if maybe what we can, I was planning on sending this bill to the pharmacy students and saying, hey guys, please look into this, please like email me back what you think, and then also look at our debate. And then also I was wondering if like Senator Smith and like any other senators who get emails back from their constituents, like send it to all the senators so we can all like look it over so we can see what the other constituents are saying. Because I mean, for me, I've heard from probably 20 students, but you know, that's not everybody. And so that way, if we can hear more people's opinions and more people's ideas, you know, that might be a thing. And then maybe you and the other writers of the bill can type up like a little, like, I don't want to say a full page, but like, you know, something like that, that basically explains what this bill, what you guys are intending this bill for. So that way the rest of us and even the student, and we can forward it to our students or whatever. So there is an understanding between everybody.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that, and I like a lot of what I'm hearing. The point of this was to get it out there, let it be heard. It is on record. Let's stick with this. One of the things I would like to do, and I might have to work out the logistics as far as how we can make this work at a large scale. I think this is an issue that would be worth emailing to the entire student body, in which case, yes, please forward it to a big portion of the student body that doesn't check that email. I think it'd be important to not only include the bill, include a link maybe to this YouTube video, but also maybe to include a survey, if at all possible. Now, with surveys that have been sent out in the past, the responses that we've received back have also not been an entirely accurate sample for the entire student body that we represent. But I think through promoting this, through making students aware and encouraging them to take that survey, it would really help if we pull it off to get some actual numbers as far as students' opinions on this, which I think would help us all put our minds at ease when voting next Wednesday. So I appreciate that. I appreciate Senator Smith. I appreciate all the feedback that you guys have given me, Senator Withers, Senator Johnson. Let's commit to those. And I'll get to any other questions.
Senator Beckstead.
Thank you. I feel as College of Tech, you know, before I became part of the Senate, I didn't really check my ISU email. So I feel we're really busy. And so I think if we as senators and you or Vice President Tiki could come with us someday at like lunch and meet in the cafeteria, because we get lots of people in our College of Tech cafeteria, and talk about the bill there so they know about it, because there's a lot of students for College Tech that doesn't know about these bills and don't know they're going through Senate. There's a lot of us that didn't even know we had a Senate. Like, one of our senators was in our class and he was talking about it, and I was like, I didn't even know we had a Senate. And so I looked into it, and being College Tech, you don't really know about stuff like this. So I feel like if we bring it to College Tech, we can get more of College Tech involved.
Thank you, Senator Beckstead. Vice President Tiggy, for a follow-up comment on that, if I may. I could not agree more with the concept that we have to take this to the students. It's awesome that students have brought their concerns to us, but we have to be proactive and take it to the students as far as trying to get that feedback. I also appreciate the colleges that unfortunately have constituents that don't check their ISU email and get my mass emails. I appreciate you bringing those up. Let's find ways to reach out to them specifically and to make sure that they're not missing out on contributing to this discussion because they don't receive those emails. So thank you.
Anything else from President Sun? Thank you for approaching the gallery. Thank you. Senator Valencia.
I would like to recognize.
Recognized. Is there anybody else from the gallery that would like to approach the Senate?
Hi.
Will you please state your name and spell it for the minutes?
Hi.
Turn it on.
Okay, there we go. My name is Zipporah Golson, Zipporah. Golson, Gholson. Okay, so I was actually back there kind of talking to some of my SAB members about this bill, just as you guys were kind of going through it. My feelings on it are, you know, I heard a lot of comments about you're just thinking about yourselves and all this stuff. Well, yeah, I'm going to think about myself. I'm a student here. But I have 2 part-time on-campus jobs. I also have a part-time off-campus job. My financial need, you know, my parents don't take care of me, but they make too much money where I can't get, you know, anything else other than loans. For school, you know, I drive to Pocatello 4 days a week. I live on my own, you know, in a house out here in Idaho Falls. And I still feel like there are people out there doing worse than I am, you know. Even though I struggle trying to get to Pocatello 4 days a week and back and forth, you know, I still feel that there are people, you know, worse than me, you know, people who can't eat, people who can't do any of this. So I feel like this bill is kind of expanding the people who can get it, you know, taking away from the people who don't, you know, necessarily need it, who have their tuition partially or, you know, completely paid for. I feel like it's expanding the people who really do need it. Some of my SAB members said that they believe, you know, that this bill should go through because, you know, they don't need it. They feel like they don't need it. You know, they have part-time jobs on and off campus. They, they drive to Pocatello, you know, 2 days a week or whatever, and they still feel like there is a big group of people who are missing out because of the people who are applying for the scholarship that don't necessarily need the money. So that's kind of what, you know, me and my SAB members kind of think about that. Also, you know, they see the other side. They see, you know, hey, you can't really decide, you know, need on people. But at the same time, I heard comments about, you know, well, it's not our decision, you know, to decide who needs it. Well, you guys are ASISU Senate. It is your decision. So I kind of, you know, feel that, you know, it's your guys' decision to decide on it. You guys, it's in your hands to talk to other people, but, you know, don't say that you don't feel like you have the right to decide on it because that's what you were elected for.
Will you yield to questions or comments, if any? Yeah. Are there any questions or comments from the schools? Senator McConnell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you so much for coming over here. And you said a lot of really great things, and I appreciate you sitting in front of us because I know it's pretty intimidating. So thank you. I really love what you said about you're still struggling, but you feel like people have it worse than you, and you're willing to put them before you. I love that because we do have programs. ISU has programs such as Betty's Pantry where people, they want to go to school so bad that they can't afford even food. And so like, I'm kind of the same how I rely on loans and scholarships highly to get through school. And so I just love that you said that, like, granted, I also struggle just because I have to buy marshmallow babies, I can't get Lucky Charms. Yeah, I'm just really glad of what you said. So thank you so much for coming up.
Senator Valencia.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for it. You always know what to say and you know how to say it very well. And I've known you for a while and you always have your mind pretty set on what you want to say and you're always respectful of other people's ideas, but you still voice your opinion and what your other constituents feel also. And I just really want to thank you for voicing your opinion on that. And
if you guys didn't know, she does travel a lot, has traveled a lot, and she is a very involved student on this campus and our campus in Pocatello. So as her saying that she doesn't need it and she's struggling, like I think as much as you don't want to say it, we all are privileged to be where we are. And there are other students that can't afford to even go to school because they just don't have the means for it. Like, regardless of how bad you have it, someone else has it worse. And that just proves a point. Everyone has a part of their life and it just sucks. And it's unfortunate that it is like that. But just think about it. As bad as your life is, someone else has it worse. And someone else, as much as it is $250, someone else could probably use it. And I'm gonna be that person and say someone else can use it. And thank you for pointing that out. Thank you for coming and talking to us.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. We appreciate your contribution.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the gallery? Seeing none, we will move to our other business. Senator Sheldon, I think I saw your hand up.
Thank you. I'd just like to remind everybody that I will be having my meeting with President Sun in the ASISU conference room, along with anyone else who is welcome to or is interested in seeing my thought process and would like to help me in rearranging the theater ISU, theater and dance ISU.
Tremendous, thank you. Senator Cleveland.
This would be really funny right now, but with what Senator McConnell said, I personally think marshmallow meaties are better than Lucky Charms because they're cheaper and they taste better. So they're better. I don't know. That's just me.
That's noted on the minutes. Clarification on the time. (10 to 10:50) in the ASISU conference room. Now, on our agenda, we have our pro tem vote of confidence. Do you all have that invitation? I have more of these if you need them. But the vote is yes or no. Yes, we continue to have Senator McConnell as our pro tem. No would be to, we would have to go through the process of selecting another pro tem. So, yes or no? Did everyone vote? We are short one vote, so we have to vote again. We get to vote again. So once again, yes to keep Senator McConnell, no to choose another one. Let us know if you need paper. JK. We found it. Lost in translation. Would anyone like to change their? We had some communication difficulties, but we settled it. Senator McConnell will continue to be our pro tem. It is time to sing a fight song. Acapella.
ISU fight, ISU fight, go, go, go Eagles, go!
Senator Beckstead.
Second, unanimous.
Senator Beckstead moves to adjourn, seconded by Senator Valencia. Unanimous call. Secretary Severson, will you please call roll?
Senator Beckstead? Here. Senator Buchelman? Here. Senator Cleveland? Senator Johnson? Senator Kemper?
Here.
Senator Canal?
Here.
Senator Knapp? Here. Senator Randolph?
Here.
Senator McConnell? Here. Senator Modiak? Here. Senator Perry? Senator Pitcock?
Here.
Senator Ricks?
Here.
Senator Stuckey? Senator Sheldon? Here. Senator Schmidt? Here. Senator Thayer?
Here.
Senator Underwood?
Present.
Senator Valencia? And Senator Withers?
Present.
Thank you, everybody, for their participation today. I thought it was really healthy conversation. So with that, adjourn.
I need to speak with Kendra and Kendra.